Hey, my brothers, back again, and I put up a video actually of a short about modern women in submission, and there's a 10-minute video that goes along with it. I just wanted to react to the 10-minute video to kind of give it a fuller context because there was a lot of back and forth about their relationship and stuff like that. So I kind of wanted to give it a fuller kind of conversation. So I'm just going to take a few minutes to actually react to the 10-minute video of Pastor Life and Mrs. Life and their marriage and how she kind of overcame her kind of unique modern womanism, for lack of a better term. So we're going to get into this and we're going to react to this and give a little conversation and give it a little bit fuller context. Okay.
Or a loss of control, a loss of flexibility, a loss of the ability to move, to come and go as I please, to live the type of lifestyle that I choose to live. Marriage meant I had to be considerate of another person's wants, their hopes, their dreams, their feelings.
There's always drawbacks to everything. There's always a drawback to everything. So marriage is no different. If you want to get married, you're going to have to give up something. They used to tell me when a woman gives up a lot when she has children, and a man gives up a lot when he gets married. So.
You make more money than I do. Probably about somewhere between the range of 25 and 40% more than what I do.
True. At this moment.
At this,
yeah, because we flip flop.
If it doesn't change. Next 5 years, 10 years. What's your feelings about that? How does it impact you now? And is it a big deal?
For me, no. It's okay. Part of the reason why it's not a big deal is because I look at us like an us. If I win, you win. If you win, I win. And it's always been like that, right? Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter how much money I'm bringing in versus how much money you're bringing in. It's all about how much money is in the pot, right? And your contribution to the pot or my contribution to the pot is there for the betterment of our purpose, our plan, our vision, right? Mm-hmm. And so I don't care where the money came from to make it into the pot, who worked or didn't work for it to get to the pot. The eye is on the pot. So,
well, that's kind of like the old-fashioned marriage, where the old-fashioned black marriage was. And that's the way I was raised, okay? The pot is the pot. You know, no matter who worked for it, where the money came from, how much each person brought in. And sometimes there was a fight, but how much each person brought in, the thing is, what actually made it to the pot, and the pot was all that counted. So this is kind of almost like a throwback. So for a modern woman to speak this way, she's not typical. Continuing.
So for me, making more money than you at this time in my career, it's temporal.
Would you, because would you try to pull the trump card on me if I want to make a move with your money?
Rephrase. Have I tried to pull the trump card on you? Tell the people in these YouTube streets how we roll.
No, you don't try to do
exactly.
That. But a lot of common talking points inside the YouTube streets is about women that make more than men. That's a problem because they want to lord it over the men.
That is true. That is very true. We just talked about this, and we just went back and forth with this with the thing with Ebony K. Williams, which is the most recent result. And there's books on this, and it's not just a black thing, man. This is just a male female thing.
How do men find women, or what are some of the key indicators that men need to look for in women that are high value women that could let them know that this could be a good catch for them?
As it relates to what?
Relationships wise.
As it relates to money?
Yeah.
Look at how she spends her money. And is it just her money?
What does that mean?
Because is she giving? Is she a taker? Because if she just likes to spend her money on herself and on her things without doing the same for you, that's a selfish person. And that's not the type of person who I would say has a quality to be, no matter how much money that woman makes, she doesn't have the quality to be what I would consider a high value woman.
And some women would disagree with that, but I happen to agree with that. Okay, that's for any woman of quality, that's going to be your wife. Okay, that has to be there. There has to be that. The pot has to be the pot. Okay, and she has to. When money is spent, the money is just not spent on her. So the old saying in the black community been for ages, man, since I was a little kid, right? Her money is her money, and your money is her money. Okay, which is not supposed to be true. But the thing is, for a quality woman that's really on your program, that's supposed to be the case.
So I think one of the biggest things is looking at how she's spending her money.
So I went on the Daily Wrap Up crew, and we talked about this after I got off the show about how one of the guys sign language me because I said that your woman should have buy-in into you. Mm-hmm. As I recall, our first date, you took me out. Am I right or wrong about that? It was my birthday.
Oh, okay. Sometimes we have to qualify things because his story may not align with my story. So I had to pause, especially since we're live, and make sure I wasn't crushing any man lies. But yes, just saying, I had to make sure. Oh, the first time we went out, it was for your birthday. We ended up going to the beach and then stopping at a restaurant, and I paid.
Yeah.
Yes.
You paid. So.
Well, I you know what? And this is high value or not. If you are the type of person who takes someone else out for their birthday and you make them pay for themselves, that's just a low value type of activity. I will never take someone out for their birthday, even a new man who I just met, and make him pay for his own birthday. Like, I buy you a drink, pay for dinner.
And notice he said that where he rolls, that a woman has to have some kind of buy-in. And believe it or not, the Max and the Pimp said the exact same thing. If a woman's really down for your program, you got to make her have some kind of buy-in. She's got to break herself in some kind of way that she's down for your program. So he's 100% correct. That is actually the way to do it. And sometimes you have to compromise because if you get like 8, 9, or 10, she may not be wanting to do a buy-in. Okay, so you have to keep that in mind. Continuing.
So should men be willing? So should men actually seek women that have some form of buy-in, or if men want a more submissive wife, should they just go for women that always look for the man to pay?
See, I think that's a difficult one because when you talk about, like I said, a lot of times when people think about that word submissive, right? They look at the woman being submissive to the man and they have those visions of the women who were taking care of household, who didn't work, who weren't really bringing in a real or significant amount of income, and whose primary focus was to take care of what was at home, not earning outside of the home, right? And when you look at it from that standpoint, the woman in that case who is submissive in those ways shouldn't have to pay for anything because that's not the expectation.
That's not the expectation.
That's not the.
It wasn't the deal. I agree with that. You can't expect if she's going to be a stay-at-home wife and she's taking care of the kids, and that's her duty, that's her role, and that's the role that you picked for her. No, she shouldn't have to pay. I agree with that. The deal is the deal.
The expectation.
But if a woman is making money, then what should happen?
That has to be a conversation.
Like when? My rule, when I was dating, if a woman did not offer to pay for anything in the first 3 dates, mainly the first date, I was kind of not there anyway at that point in time. It became a game to me. Is that wrong for men to do that?
I don't think that's wrong.
Why not?
Women do the exact same thing.
You get it, call them foodie calls, right?
I mean, the foodie call is
Wait a
a
minute,
totally
wait a minute,
different
wait.
thing.
So I got to ask you, how many men did you get to take you on food dates before us? Did you have plenty of those calls? Did you do a lot of foodie calls?
Did I do a lot of foodie calls?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Well, that basically much more of an enlightened woman. Really, that is the way feminism is supposed to roll. Okay, where it's if you believe in equality and equity, okay, she's supposed to pay. If she makes money, she's supposed to pay. She's not supposed to pin on a throwback to what we call patriarchy. Okay, she's supposed to go in her pocket and she's supposed to dig out and pay for stuff. In patriarchal societies like Islam, right? The woman doesn't pay for shit, right? Because she's not expected to pay for anything. She has a specific role, and that's the deal. Okay, in America with this so-called equity, okay, it's not supposed to be that way. She's supposed to pay for something. So he's entirely right.
You never got men to take you on dates
Okay,
just to get
so
food.
part of I never got men to take me out to get food.
Yeah, just on the date, there was nothing there, but he offered and you went on the date just because you was going to get some free food out of it.
I didn't go on dates to get free food. I would go on dates for entertainment value, but not necessarily for free food. Like if we want to go out and have a good time and food happens to be involved in that, no matter if it's crappy food that's just fries and burgers and pizza, or if it's high-end food, I didn't go out just to eat. That wasn't who I was.
So
I went out for entertainment.
You didn't go out just to suck down the food or nothing like that.
No.
That says a lot about you.
Oh, okay.
Do you think I made a good choice as a wife?
Oh no, I tell you all the time you made a poor choice.
Here's where the rubber meets the road, and we're going to see exactly what she means by a modern woman being a wife and how much work, mental work, and emotional work it takes for women that have been trained a specific way.
Why did I make a poor choice as a wife?
Because that's so funny because I do. I tell you,
She does tell me that all the time. That
sucks. You made a bad choice.
she tells me all the time
You.
that I made a poor choice that I picked very badly. I think most of the men listening right now would think that I did pretty good in picking my wife.
Well, that's because you played a long game. But in the short game, when we first got together, I was not marriage material, and I told you that. Do you remember it was one of our earlier dates, probably like maybe a second or third date. You turned to me and you said, you recounted this story that you had with your mentor about marriage, and that you were on the precipice of finding your wife, and you turned to me, probably date 2 or 3, and said, "I'm going to marry you." And I got out of the car and I said, "You're crazy."
You remember people say that we're nuts. I'm nuts. Me and Kevin disagree, right, about this. We agree that it doesn't take very long for a man to determine whether that woman is wife material for that man. Okay, doesn't take very long. I said it takes 6 weeks. Up to 6 weeks. Kevin says up to 6 months to whether he's determined that she is wife material or qualifies for a wife for that man. Okay. Pastor Life did it in 3 dates, which is probably maybe like about a month. Men know whether a woman qualifies for his wife very quickly. Okay. Now, whether she can be put to the test and make it through the whole trial and actually check out the boxes so he can marry her, that's a different story. But the thing is, a man knows whether she is wife material for him very quickly. I tell women that, I tell men that.
And why was that?
Because I had no intentions of ever being married.
Let's stop there and let's really drive this home, because I think this is the most modern woman that you showed tonight was about not willing to be married. Why do so many modern women look bad on marriage?
I would say, and I can't speak for all modern women, but what I can say is
Just
I'm
do Manonomics,
yeah.
5149.
What I'm saying, I'm giving you my personal, right? So for me, it wasn't about looking bad on marriage as much as it was that I looked at a life without being tied down as more appealing than marriage. For me, marriage meant a loss of power, a loss of control, a loss of flexibility, a loss of the ability to move, to come and go as I please, to live the type of lifestyle that I choose to live. Marriage meant I had to be considerate of another person's wants, their hopes, their dreams, their feelings. And I was selfish and basking in my selfishness and enjoying not being married. So it wasn't that I was looking down on marriage. It just, the vision that I had for my life looked better than anything that I can conceptualize about marriage at the time.
And that's the way modern women actually taught. They're taught to be bachelors. They're taught to be independent. They're taught that being a wife and being a mother is slavery. You've heard them say that it's slavery, and that's a common theme that has to be taught. Because you go to a more traditional society, okay, 99% of the women don't believe that being a wife and a mother is slavery. It's just something that you look forward to. That's part of your place. It's part of being a woman, and actually being a husband and having kids in the family is also part of it, because that's what the society expects out of you, and that is your role, and that's your duty, and that's your, that's what you're supposed to do, right? You socialize from the ground up to be that, and vice versa, right? Whereas the modern woman is not. She's taught to be an independent actor, an individual, and boys are socialized the same way. Fortunately for the nation, boys are not taught that at the same level that women are.
So was you out there hoeing out?
I was not. Why do you always assume
That was a question.
in these YouTube streets?
That's
Like
a
going out.
legitimate
It
question.
is not a legitimate question. No, I was not. I had the vision that I was going to be this high-powered corporate businesswoman living in New York City, fancy apartment.
Uh-huh. Now you see that, man, in Harlem. You see that in Insecure. You see that all over the place, man. That is in all the romance novels. You have this high-powered corporate chick that's the mistress of the universe. Okay, that it is. This is. I probably have to coin that term, the mistress of the universe fantasy that a lot of black women are actually taught, and it's fed to them instead of the Disney princess that kissed by her kisses her frog, he turns into a prince, and he whisks her away to his kingdom, and she becomes queen. They don't look at it that way. They look at themselves as the woman king, right? As the woman king of the universe. Continuing.
On the top of some building overlooking.
All right, that's the end of the segment. In fact, I should play. Yeah, I don't want to copyright him. I might do that on Patreon, right? Because there's a series. I think it's on Showtime. I'm not sure which one it's on, but called Run the World, right? We have four girls, just like in New York, just like Sex in the City, that are these high-powered wannabe moguls, queens of the universe, right? Mistresses of the universe that have go to top 10 schools and Ivy League schools, and they're this, they're that, and the other, right? And that's where they live. They live in these high rises in New York. Okay. overlooking the city. They live these fantasy lives. They go to these fancy bars and stuff like that. And this is how they roll, and this is how they're taught. This is what women are actually fed, even on the what do they call it, the reality shows, right? Same stuff. So these are modern women. She went her full gamut. The only thing I'm curious about is why she chose to be married. If she already picked out her life and what her life was like, why did she take a pass Mr. Life on his offer to be married? And maybe I think this was part of a live. I might go in and actually find out. But if you're actually looking at that, do a part two because I want to know why your wife that had committed to be the solo life, to be the mistress of the universe by herself, picked to be married, picked a partner. So to speak, because I'm not sure whether she's a wife. I think she's a wife. I think you actually said that because you said something about the P word that she's not allowed to use, which is partner, and she's actually a wife. So, with that, I'm going to actually bounce off of this one, man. I think this is probably long there, about 20 minutes. It's actually telling because it's hard to get a woman to be open and honest, especially if she's married to her husband, and be honest about what she went through, what her life was, and the struggles it took to actually become a wife instead of a modern independent woman. It takes a special kind of person to actually do that. Every chicken is not cut from that, okay? Especially when it comes down to the money, without using that to abuse her husband. She decided to become a wife instead of a partner or instead of an independent person. And that's really what's gonna come down to, especially in this society, because men don't get much out of it. Women really don't get much out of marriage. To be honest with you, they used to in agrarian society because you got labor, you got children, you got labor, and children were your wealth. Children are no longer your wealth anymore. They're your legacy, but they're not your wealth. And so men in this society get very little out of marriage. Very little out of marriage. And it takes a special person, a special woman that's on your program that will help you towards your whatever goal it is in these days and times because women are taught to be independent. And men are waking up and becoming independent. But when men become independent in the society, then it's a problem. Then it's a real freaking problem. Anyhow, okay. With that, man, I'm going to end this segment. Hopefully, I can get a part two because I really would like to know why she decided to go ahead and get married instead of living out her life the way she had envisioned it. Anyhow, folks, peace.